We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars Wrestling Show, episode 269. Nice.
Huzzah!
I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. To my left this week is the Scholars Wrestling Champion, Scholar Brian. How's it going, sir?
Feeling pretty perfect these days. Sorry I wasn't around last week. Had to really breathe it in. Had to bask in the gloriousness of the perfect prediction card for Clash of Champions.
We know. Yes, the winner and still champion, Scholar Brian. Yes, we know. We talked about it quite a bit, and now where is it left to go? But
Nope.
No. What do you mean no? What are we saying no to?
It's come to my attention through the Twitter sphere, if you were, that someone has forgotten a certain stipulation that was made before our match.
And what was that stipulation?
Because the disrespect the entire month was so egregious to me that I just had to sweeten the pot for myself. Okay? So, during that phone call, about 3 weeks ago, you remember the one?
Oh, the phone call.
The phone call where basically just everything blew up once I got hung up on. And I apologize for the shit show that I made the show the week after that, because I didn't expect our guest challenger to follow my lead in being a little shit on the prediction show. But during that phone call, I made a little stipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he was so confident that he accepted. Okay? The stipulation was double or nothing. Okay? Now I understand that the Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion cannot challenge for the party championship.
This is true.
I understand this. But if you're going to come at me the way that you did, okay, your party championship is going to be up for grabs. I can't hold it. That doesn't mean that you're scot-free. Okay? The stipulation was, if JML was to win, he would be the reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion, and the reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling party champion.
Mm-hmm.
If
Double
he
or nothing.
lost, he would not have this beauty, and he would no longer be Scholars of Wrestling party champion. And guess what, buddy? You lost. And you lost hard.
Hey, live fast, lose hard.
Therefore, your little tweet earlier this week that stated you are still the party champion is in fact a falsity. As of right now, you are nothing, good sir.
So
maybe next time that'll teach you to keep your ego in check a little bit.
So it looks like we could very well have a brand new party champion come the next viewing party. It's all on
whenever
the line.
that may be.
At the rate we're going, it's probably going to be Survivor Series.
And either way, let me just put it to you this way, okay? I'm normally a very understanding person. I don't go out of my way to screw people over. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're challenging me at Hell in a Cell for the Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship.
You're darn right I am.
Okay? And as far as I know, okay, you've said nothing that makes me feel like your ego has eclipsed everything.
Of course
that you
not.
have.
As a matter of fact, I made a point last week
Yeah.
to distinctly mention and commend you for your intelligence for not wanting to get anywhere near me last week. Because you knew that I was going to start formulating that. And again, you're way too intelligent to take me lightly. Because you know that on any given night, I can take that belt from you.
Yes, we understand that your prediction style, okay, very unpredictable. Okay? Most of the time, it does not work out well for you. Let's be perfectly honest here. But
my two-time Scholars of Wrestling Championship reigns would argue differently, but
no,
go ahead.
As I said, okay, you've had a couple Scholars of Wrestling Championship reigns. Okay, they weren't very long.
I'm
but
sorry, this from you?
But your style, at least this year, okay, you haven't been doing very well. But I remember the year before that and the year before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not taking you lightly. What I take issue with are people who we give an opportunity to outsiders, if you will. We give an opportunity to, and their ego goes out so out of control that I have no choice but to step in and slap them back down where they belong. Okay, I did it to Charlie, and we haven't heard peep from him since. Okay, all he had to do was close his mouth. Didn't need to mention my name at all. Mentioned my name on the prediction show where he won the championship. Ha, Scholar Tarek. Also, the only one who's let an outsider beat him for the championship.
Oh, the bullets are flying.
If he had just kept my name out of his mouth, he might still be Scholars of Wrestling champion, and I might still be holding onto that Money in the Bank briefcase. But my name came out of his mouth, I had to smack him back down, put him back in his place. Same thing happened with JML. If you're going to come at me with that ego, if you're going to come at me with that overconfidence, you better show up at the prediction show. You did not, and now look at you. You've got nothing.
Thus is a boon to me that some people say I'm not good with trash talking. Some people say I just prefer not to. Whatever sort of conclusions you've come to about me, let the word be known. The next challenge for the Scholars of Wrestling Championship will be an honorable, swift, and decisive one. So, I wish you the best of luck, but you know what? Until we get to that point, until we get to our prediction show next week, we have another momentous week this week in wrestling. But before we get to that, we need to kick things off on the Scholars of Wrestling show the right way with a little segment we like to call
Backstage News. Big week, man.
Big week, yes. Now there is a little bit of news that just broke as of this afternoon, I believe. Right before we're about to start recording, the news broke that WWE has re-signed John Morrison. He's back, guys.
It only took 5 years?
It feels like it was much longer than that. But yeah, he's been away for some time and been on
5 or 6 years. He's been Impact champion. Whatever that means nowadays. He's been big on the Lucha Underground scene, huge there. So, and I do believe that with his mayor of Slamtown gimmick that he's perfected with Lucha Underground and Impact, maybe, just maybe, he'll have an easier time character-wise. Because he's always had the ability to go in the ring. That was never an issue in the WWE. What he didn't have was a character to go along with it.
The Shaman of Sexy doesn't count. It was a character, but he needed the mic skills.
Yeah, he needed the mic skills, and with what he's been doing since he's been gone, it's easier to see him as a top star. Will it happen in the current WWE's climate? Probably not. But John Morrison was always a good hand to have around, to have a good TV or pay-per-view match. And nothing's changed in the last 5 years to make that any different.
So yes, time will only tell where he ends up. The man could show up pretty much anywhere and would still make for a compelling angle, at least at first. So either way, I think it'll be good to see John Morrison back on WWE TV, provided they do the right things with him. But then again, you could say that
maybe a John Morrison and The Miz remix.
That was the first and only thing that I've heard recommended. Miz and Morrison versus Nakamura and Sami Zayn.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Some things just write themselves. But speaking of some things writing themselves, we need to get to supposedly the Go Home Raw before the new season, whatever that means, and the last SmackDown on USA Network, at least for a considerable future.
I'll tell you exactly what seasons mean. Okay, what's happening next week?
You're starting off a SmackDown on Fox.
What else is starting next week?
I have no idea.
A little thing called AEW Dynamite?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, so.
Kidding, folks, kidding.
You've got Raw. You've got an NXT with every title match you could possibly have. They haven't announced a North American title match yet, but chances are that's coming soon. Why not, right? Just blow your load on your first NXT show and see what happens the following weeks when you have no storylines built up. But okay, whatever. First week of Friday SmackDown on Fox, and the opening episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT. So technically this all makes lots of sense in when you think about it. Okay, just you're starting anew. This is based on what AEW is doing. WWE has decided to start their season, if you will, for all shows, not just SmackDown Live because it moved to a new TV network. For all shows. Okay, it's a season premiere next week to go along with the series premiere, if you will, of AEW Dynamite. So it's just like everything's starting fresh.
So that being said, let's kick off. Let's look at this week in wrestling, starting with Monday Night Raw, which kicked off with Seth Rollins cutting a promo about everyone's favorite Fiend, talking about how scared he is, and
Seth Rollins needs to stop talking, because every time he speaks, He's less believable to me as a champion. Like, no champion should speak like that. That's it.
Okay.
Like, I understand. It. Seth Rollins, since he's beaten Brock Lesnar, has just come off whiny. Okay. He just beat Brock Lesnar clean. Okay. He beat Braun Strowman clean. Okay. I get it. It's the Fiend. Okay. But even when he was going against Braun Strowman, this is a weak title run. Especially since there's no way he can win at Hell in a Cell. There's no way. None whatsoever. If they don't want to kill any momentum that the Fiend has. Okay, so this is your man who took out Brock Lesnar clean. This is your man who took out Braun Strowman. Okay. I get that it's the Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you took out Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. Okay, you should sow healthy amounts of fear. Of course, but the man is pissing his pants. That's it.
See, here's the thing, though. Because I've heard criticism no matter what. To be fair, it's been more than a little bit wonky. But I've also seen people criticize Seth Rollins no matter what he does. Last week, when he was just barely selling the Fiend at all, he was like, "Oh, he needs to be more afraid. He needs to be more afraid of the Fiend. He needs to sell it more." And now he's in there, he's selling it to the gills, and now it's like, "Oh, he's selling too much. What kind of champion is he?" You can't have it both ways, people.
Well, here's the problem. Okay, other than the match with Brock Lesnar, other than the actual matches that he's had with Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman during both title reigns. Okay, let's just take this year as a whole. Okay, if this was the Seth Rollins of 2018, okay, he's just had a very weak year, and this is coming for a guy who's beaten Brock Lesnar clean twice this year, but he's just very weak, and I don't see him as championship material anymore. I see him right now. Okay. He's more Roman Reigns right now than Roman Reigns is.
I was about to say the same thing.
He's more Roman Reigns than Roman Reigns ever was at this point.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm going to say that with the way he's had 2019 this year, it's very clear that he is the new Roman Reigns. And he's trying to play that corporate guy, but no one can pull that off.
No one can play that corporate guy better than Roman Reigns right now. Okay.
And even then, you can't do it and appeal to and be like the big star and be so sanitized.
And at least
or micromanaged.
And at least when Roman Reigns was doing it, okay, he still was, at least this year, since he came back from the cancer diagnosis and all that, okay, he's been giving a lot of rubs recently. Like, he's put over Buddy Murphy, whether he beat him or not. He put him over. Okay, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper. Okay, a lot of guys that are Scholar Tarek and JMO at the last pay-per-view. We're part of the Roman's gotta win here, right? Because Roman always wins initiative.
About that.
Always wins initiative. Well, not this year. And it's getting to the point where I'm no longer watching Roman Reigns on TV and being like, oh.
I'm still not crazy about him, but he's not the annoyance he once was.
I hate to say it because I was such a big I've always been a big Seth Rollins guy before this year, but to me, he's getting to that territory.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, excuse me. Hiccups out of nowhere. Pardon me, people. Ay. What a time to get hiccups, but seriously. Oh, boy, this is going to be a problem. Boy, do I hate dead air. But seriously, the one thing I hate more than dead air is what they're doing to Seth Rollins. Oh, boy. This episode 269, the one where Scholar Jeff gets hiccups. Oh, boy. I'm probably going to make you talk about something just so I can take a swig of water in between sentences. But now that... just real quick, Seth Rollins... The more corporate he gets, the more sanitized he gets. The one thing I always hated is just how much they make someone... It's how obvious it is that they make someone read lines. And Seth Rollins, I know he's doing his damnedest to make this all work, but no one can make it work. I don't care if you're Seth Rollins, I don't care if you're Roman Reigns, I don't care if you're Captain Hiccups, I don't care if you're John Cena, I don't care who you are. You cannot pull that off. Say something stupid.
Stupid. You know what's stupid? We can all agree that this is stupid. Hiccups in the middle of a live broadcast.
Gotta love it.
But it's and this has been going on for a lot longer than a lot of people think, but it only started to come out after John Moxley's podcast, because that's when it became obvious what was happening with Seth Rollins, because he would go out on these interviews and read the scripted lines and all that, and then he'd go on TV and it's like it's all sanitized, as you said. It's like there's nothing there that I can get on board with. Nothing. Like, it was to the point where I wanted Brock Lesnar to win at SummerSlam. Okay, and yeah, they had a great match. They did, but what did they do after that? Right back to the sanitization of Seth Rollins and the further downhill movement of Braun Strowman.
But conversely, thankfully, we also have Bray Wyatt in the fray right now. And between Firefly Funhouse to the opening of the show, where everything was distorted, everything from top to bottom, Bray Wyatt is single-handedly still making this show watchable and is making this next pay-per-view interesting all on his own.
He's single-handedly saving Raw right now.
Everyone loves a big marketable monster.
From being an unwatchable mess 95% of the time. Most of the week you can... Most of the time you can always count on a segment with either Psycho Mr. Rogers himself.
For a second there, I thought you were about to say Psycho Roy Rogers. Like,
I really had a craving for Roy Rogers, old school. But Psycho Mr. Rogers or the Fiend himself. Okay, whenever they're on screen, it's riveting television. Mm-hmm. Okay, and a lot of people are like, it's too soon to give him the title. It's too soon to do... This is the time when you need to strike. If there's ever a time to strike when the iron is hot, It is right now.
I'll
Because
tell you
what
this.
you got is a Universal Champion who is dying out there because of how the WWE is actually treating him. And the because of the fact that Bray Wyatt is his own thing, like, this is his creative genius, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He's what you need at the top of Raw right now as the Universal Champion.
Absolutely. And I don't think I've ever come out and said it right in a public forum before, but I'm going to say it now. I've heard the concern that it's too soon for Bray Wyatt, it's too soon for The Fiend. I'm going to say it's this. If it were just The Fiend as a whole new wrestler and as a journeyman wrestler up to the main roster, I'd say, yes, I understand the trepidation. However, this is not a journeyman wrestler. The character may be new, but the wrestler himself is not.
It's an evolution of the old character. It's not like the guy has changed characters.
And I'll do you one better. One of the biggest complaints I heard about Bray Wyatt during his last run and the last character arc was that they needed to put the belt on him when he was hot, when he was fresh, when he was as most compelling. A fraternity recruiter when I was in college put it this way: you have to get the people at the peak of their interest, or else they're just going to eventually lose interest, and then it's going to be too little too late. This is exactly what's happened to Bray Wyatt before. By the time he actually won the WWE Championship, the consensus was it was a little too late, and he ended up having a lackluster title run. Now, what we have here is the rare opportunity and setting to do it right all over again with the same guy. The gimmick is fresher and more compelling than it's ever been, arguably.
The storylines that you could have coming out of this with him as the champion are much more compelling.
Not to mention,
Survivor Series is coming up.
Not to mention, think about this. You're going to have The Fiend as Universal Champion during the month of October.
Yes.
The Halloween cross promotion is going to be tremendous.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay. All that is well and good. But there is also an opportunity here at Survivor Series. Okay. The Fiend could face Brock Lesnar.
Monster Mash. Let's
at
go.
Survivor Series. Okay. And it leads into a perfect WrestleMania match. Fiend versus a Demon.
I think it's going to be swapped. I'm thinking that we're going to get Fiend versus Demon at Survivor Series.
I don't think so. You want to know why?
I'd love to hear this.
Because remember, it's been Raw versus SmackDown. For the last few years now, you've had the champions of each brand face each other. Okay, you've had Raw versus Smack. It's basically the battlegrounds or whatever.
Okay,
Remember that?
I see.
That's what it's been. Okay, that's why I'm saying. Okay, the big money match that you've got. Okay, the Fiend easily put down Finn Balor in what, a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes at SummerSlam. I believe it was. Okay.
Not long at all.
So so he got some time off. Okay, he's doing his thing. Wins the Royal Rumble. Then you get the Fiend versus the Demon. And the Demon is the first person to beat the Fiend. Everything comes full circle. It's a story arc that lasts from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, which is how long stories are supposed to happen. Good stories to lead up to WrestleMania. And you also get the Fiend potentially beating Brock Lesnar.
which I want to see happen
in
so
that
badly.
in that time frame.
Please make it happen.
It's like
I want it.
The amount of storylines coming out of you can also have Bray Wyatt versus the Fiend versus the Undertaker.
That I want to see more.
Okay.
While the Undertaker's still healthy.
So with the fact all of these storylines that can come of a Fiend's title win versus all the storylines what storylines could you have coming out of a Seth Rollins win?
Nothing I care to see at this point.
Yeah, and
that's the bottom line.
It kills the entire push. It kills everything about the Fiend if he loses in his second match.
So all that's being said, we also, let's not forget, on this episode of Raw, we also had a number one contendership match for the Universal title, which is now Rey Mysterio. Where does Rey Mysterio fall in line with this entire thing?
Easy. You get a good match on your season premiere overall. It's an exhibition match.
So you're saying it's going to happen it's going to happen on the season premiere of Raw and not on a pay-per-view.
That's what it said.
Okay, I stand corrected.
It said the number one contender goes on to face Seth Rollins next week on the season premiere of Raw. So, okay, it's
good on me for paying attention.
And it's another legend for the Fiend to eat.
There's the setup.
So he's gonna eat Rey Mysterio. He just ate Braun Strowman. There's one. Mm-hmm. Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. Bray Wyatt, I bought you in. Braun Strowman, I'm gonna try to take you out. I'm
not the same boy you found.
I'm not the same boy you found. And Bray Wyatt's like, neither am I. So it's
womp womp.
There's storylines out the ass for this guy as champion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. But
I just want to see what they do with him in the month of October for Halloween.
For this fatal five-way match. Okay, let's face it. Okay, as much as Ricochet is one of the best wrestlers on the planet, okay, he's the only one that really didn't belong here in the match.
It made for an interesting match, but
it made for fun. I wouldn't even say it improved the match. But it's like, oh, it's nice to see you. We'll let you get your moves in, and then get out.
Bye.
That's it. That's Ricochet's part in the WWE right now, which is fine. But when it's sad after the momentum you gave him of beating Samoa Joe for the United States title. But whatever. But then you had Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles rekindle their little thing and take it, and AJ Styles took out Shinsuke. And how about Robert Roode? Are we finally getting a push for this guy? Like actual?
I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah. At the rate we're going, I don't even know anymore.
So, but as soon as it came down to Roode and Mysterio, I was pretty sure it was going to be Mysterio because we just saw Roode. Versus Rollins. So what this is going to be, okay, they're going to have a 20-minute exhibition. It's going to be your typical Raw title match. Okay, Seth Rollins is going to win. They're going to try to do the handshake at the end, all the hey, raise the hands and whatever. Then you get the lights going out, and Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins is going to be in the corner, freaked out again, and the Fiend is going to eat Rey Mysterio. That's all this is. It's a fun thing to do for the season premiere of Raw. That's it.
Even if it's predictable, it's something. Hey, I still want to see it.
Yeah, it because I don't think it's ever been done, has it? Rollins versus Mysterio?
Not that I recall. Huh.
Yeah, so it's another one of those. Mysterio's retiring soon. So
Get while you can.
get it while you can.
Hey,
Have
that
Rollins
works.
versus Mysterio for the title. Let them go balls out for about 20 minutes, and then end it in storyline fashion.
Boom. There it is. So that was more or less the highlights of Raw this week. But then we moved on to SmackDown, and we got Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan teaming up. I'll tell you what.
I'm still not convinced, but at this point, why not?
It's all everything but a yes. It pretty much everything but an unofficial yes chant.
I'm more impressed out of everything right now with the performance of Eric Rowan with what he's been given.
I'll tell you what.
Okay, he's showing me something that I didn't think. Like, I've always known that he was good in the ring, but I'm liking what I'm getting out of him character-wise right now. I know either way that it's gonna be in the cell, this tag team match, and there's every chance that they're going to say that Daniel Bryan was the ringleader the entire time, because why not in the cell? Okay, you've got him in the cell. Either that, or it's gonna be the faces just fucking winning. I mean, like, so why not? Why not do intrigue? Give me intrigue instead of just, because this would be the blow off point. If we're done here, if Roman and Daniel Bryan win, I'm like, we're done here. The story's done. That's it. If they win in the cell. So it's like, I'm still not convinced that Daniel Bryan, I'm still not convinced that Daniel Bryan isn't in on it.
If they didn't do the whole angle right after the fact where Eric Rowan just kept talking about, I'm not a follower anymore, about his independence, if he didn't push that button so hard, I'd say, yeah, I think you've got something there. But I don't know. Now it's just the opposite. I feel like they've been driving that point home too much that it's for WWE writing. I just don't think that I don't think it's a red herring.
It's too ballsy. I think it's too ballsy for them to actually turn Daniel Bryan again.
Yeah.
So it's like, it sucks that it's going to end at Hell in a Cell, and where does Rowan, and do we get just the Bludgeon Brothers going back to the tag team division now, or are we gonna have Rowan as the leader and Harper as the lackey as he's always been? But if it is Reigns and Bryan legit against Harper and Rowan, you can't go. You can't have Reigns and Bryan lose. You can't. At this point, in the cell. If it was out of the cell, I'd be like, okay, we could have shenanigans here. Who else does Rowan have under his thumb? But it's like, if you're gonna team up Reigns and Bryan and have it legit for at least this one match,
no. I feel like, unlike Raw, I feel like this is gonna be one of those situations where I'm not 100% convinced what is going to happen. But elsewhere, we also have finally announced Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens again, this time in a ladder match.
A month and a half late. I'm over it. This should have been the match that was at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen this before, but as long as this is finally the end, I can get on board with it.
I can get on board with it, but I'm like, you will never have the opportunity to have Kevin Owens more over than if he had gotten Shane McMahon off of TV at SummerSlam. Okay, you overshot your shot by a month and a half.
But then again,
and as of right now, it's not gonna have as big of an impact as if he did it on the first shot. That's it.
Yeah, as far as the overarching storylines, yeah, it's difficult to be on board with this. However, I think you and I all know
the match
why
itself.
This is happening right now. As
Yeah,
it is.
they needed some. I don't know why they thought they needed something a little extra for the first episode of SmackDown Live when you already have Kofi Kingston versus Brock Lesnar. But yeah, let's throw a ladder match in there.
They're throwing everything and the kitchen sink at this match and this big network TV debut of SmackDown. I get it. I cannot fault them for it.
I get it. I can't fault them for it. But once again, it comes down to the fact that if this ended at SummerSlam, okay, Kevin Owens, the impact of it now is going to be less than the impact it would have had if he did it the first time they fought each other at SummerSlam.
If this was in terms of long-term WWE viewers, I'd say yes. However, this is one of those things where it's not for them. It's for the new people who are coming in. And in that sense, hey, I'm going to enjoy it either way.
Yeah,
no matter what, it's going to mark the end of this long-running feud.
And let's face
it must be.
And let's face it. Okay, with the way that the NFL commentators this weekend were treating the WWE superstars, Nacho Libre. Okay, how many new people do you actually think are going to tune in to SmackDown Live on Fox? There's a shot. I'll give you that.
Here's my answer. All the people who are wrestling fans, but they just don't know it yet. Either them or the lapsed fans from the Attitude Era. Those are the people they're going for. As much as Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar will deliver, this will deliver in sheer spectacle. And I'm confident that guys like Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, they're a sure thing in the eyes of corporate. So it makes all the sense in the world.
I hope you're right, but my fact still stands.
And I'm not even disagreeing with you. However, I will say I did get one thing this past week on SmackDown, that made me very, very happy on a personal level. The Kabuki Warriors beat Fire and Desire. They're back on the board again. I miss these two ladies.
For now, let's see them get a few weeks in a row on SmackDown Live before we say they're back on the board.
Either way, it was just good to see them.
It was definitely good to see them. They were definitely as good as we've always thought they were. But the fact of the matter remains, okay, there's every chance.
Will it last?
There's every chance that this was a one-off, and we won't see them for another few weeks. Because that's the way 2016 has been for the Kabuki Warriors ever since
2016. Are we going back in time now?
Apparently so. But that's the way 2019 has been ever since Asuka lost her title. She's had 15, either 15 or 16. She's had 16 televised matches this entire year.
Which is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty.
Only one more than Shane McMahon. That's it.
Get it together, people. I really, truly hope that this new era of SmackDown has a new era of writers and focus, and will bring truly deserving talent like the Kabuki Warriors up front.
Yeah, Asuka herself.
You okay there, buddy?
I'm tired. Leave me alone. Asuka herself should be in the conversation with Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Bayley.
Absolutely.
At this point. But instead, She's had 16 matches this entire year. It's a travesty.
It is.
And hopefully, okay, this is leading to something tag team championship wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they're also talking about Shayna Baszler being bought up now that SmackDown's going to Fox, because Fox wants Shayna Baszler, because they want UFC MMA fighters on their program, and Shayna Baszler's one of them.
Hey,
so
if they do that, then hey, as far as I'm concerned, Candice LeRae will fill the spot of NXT Women's Champion very nicely.
Yeah, and you got Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai until the end of time. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Book it.
So that's a 6 right there.
Boom.
Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and then your 4 horsewomen. Okay, that is a 6 strong, not including all the others that you have up there on the main roster. That's a 6 strong division. Okay, split them up on the shows or whatever, but that's guaranteed 6 who can go at any time. So the fact that Asuka has not been given the chance to show how good she is on a regular basis in 2019, that's a problem. Let's get your shit together, women's division.
So all that being accounted for, who had the better show this week, Raw or SmackDown?
I'm gonna go with Raw, because not only did you have what was already mentioned. Okay, Braun Strowman versus Seth Rollins, the match itself was alright. It was pretty good. You had the Viking Raiders actually having competition, good competition, and looking fantastic against the OC. Okay, I just feel like everything flowed together better. It was close. I'll give it that. But the action itself was better on Raw than on SmackDown.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to also pick Raw. But I'm also going to draw attention with a somewhat different reason. And that reason is, it seemed like so much of SmackDown was building up to next week. Meanwhile, Raw was bringing a lot to the table right in the here and now. Yeah, there was some build, but not so much at the expense of what was happening on the show itself. Next week, I'm going to say SmackDown is definitely going to be the show of the week.
It better be. Well, at least Raw versus SmackDown was.
Yes.
Because you've still got NXT with at least 3 of the 4 championships on the line. Okay, they are loading up because you've also got the debut of AEW on TNT. So next week is huge. There is not a show that I'm not looking forward to next week.
Yeah, we certainly have our work cut out for us next week. Maybe we'll play with the format. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure next week is the prediction show.
It is the prediction show.
So it's like, what?
Well, we got our homework for the week. But anyway, you've already heard what we have to say. Now it's time to turn the conversation over to you, our wrestling listening and commentating audience all over the Twitterverse and beyond. Wherever you are, YouTube, whether it's on Spotify, anywhere else where you're listening, if you can leave us a comment, please do. Like us, click on us, wherever you're seeing or hearing our faces or voices. Join us, bring us conversations, bring us comments, bring us love. We need the love. But most of all, join us in the conversation on Twitter, starting with @ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads. And you can also join the conversation in a more personal way on our personal Twitter accounts, starting with the currently on hiatus, Scholar Tarek at the Avataric. Brian, Champ, where can he reach you?
You can find me basking in all my perfectness at Atomic Beanpole.
And you can catch me biding my time until it's my time to reign again at I'm Robbie Rage. Join the conversation. Drop us some comments. We got a big week of wrestling. How can you not comment on it? Come on. It's going to be a crazy week. And we also have Hell in a Cell next week.
So, why not? Just add everything.
Throw all the wrestling.
Throw all the wrestling at us.
We're going to watch it all.
We're ready.
And you know why. Because we are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. History will be made. Let's go.
Ha ha.